This is the first estate, and this lesson centers on Diane's worship in Diana, his Indian name origin. Nagamati, Gnostic text. Then we're going to go to the book of Melchizedek. Final warning to Melchizedek. These things which I was commanded to reveal also to others as I have done. But that which is secret do not reveal to anyone unless it is revealed to you to do so. Strong's Concordance. This book contains the definition of every word in the King James Bible. First word is worship. Now, in the book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 35, and when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshipper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter? Okay? So, you're going to go and look at number 2. Okay? One who has charge of a temple to keep and adorn it. Okay? Now, we're going to go to the key and word right here, neo-horos. Okay? So, that's the key. So here we have the word neos, which means new. Okay? Now, as you can see down here, regenerate, but new, then right at the very top, key, neos. That's for new. Okay? Coral, right here, as you can see, illness, shrinking of the toilet. Okay? Malay and Southern Chinese. Okay? Now, here we have the word in. Now, we mentioned the word Chinese in the previous frame because that's going to be very important moving forward. But in means inclusion within a space because it is said that the Native Americans, or the ones we call the Indians of today, came from Asia. Okay? So that's why the word Chinese, because that's Asia, is very important. Now, Diana, also DIA, right? So Indian. So we had Indian. Okay? So the word is, a two-part word. Fused it together. So you got in and Diane. See? Diane. Now this particular frame here is a continuation of the word. Now in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 1 and 2, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Okay? 5 were wise, 5 were foolish, virgin. Okay? Now, as you can see here, the word lamp. So Diane is lamp, oil, lamp, lantern. Now, the very bottom, let's go there. So here we go. We see the word D-I. See right here. So, remember, speaking of Diane, so in Diane, okay? So it brings us here, this particular frame. And see the word Anna right here. So remember previous frame, we saw D-I at the bottom. Now here, the key is A-N-A, Diana. Now, as you can see, the word is to afflict. So in the book of Genesis, chapter 15, verses 13 and 14, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. So afflict 400 years. Okay, so remember the key, A-N-A. Prior to this particular frame or slide, we had the word D-I, Diana. Okay, follow me closely. So here we go. Here's the word Indiana. See? Now, Indiana means, see, Indian. See, Indian. And then here we have that same word from the previous frame, A-N-A. Worshippers in Diana. That's where the origin of the word Indian comes from. It comes from the Hebrew Israelites. Because whenever you speak of the Native Americans that we know of today, there's never a determining factor of where this word Indian comes from. No one ever gives you a definitive explanation, right? I'm telling you now, this is the origin of the word. It came from the Israelites. So, moving on. The Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. And then we're going to zoom in on Goddess Ephesians Diana, right here. See her in all her black glory. Okay. Now, so there we have Diana. Now, right up here, just above that, we're going to show you that it also is a Semitic deity. Okay? So, you can read this in your own leisure, see? But right here, she is a Semitic goddess. Okay? It's very important that you follow me. So, once again, Semitic or Semitic goddess. Now brings us here to the word Shem, which means name. So you get Shem, then you're over here the key, Sham, okay? But here you see Semitic tribes. So he is the eldest son of Noah, okay? And progenitor of Semitic tribes. Now this particular frame here, see the word Shem right here up at the key, means name, but here it's also a designation of God. So in the book, Numbers chapter 6, verse 27, they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay, this is what God says. Now, back to the key. Now, we're going to concentrate on Sham. Okay, S-H-A-M. Because right at the very top, go directly to the key, and we see that word once again. Now, it's where things start to open up a bit more. So in the book of Judges, chapter 18, verses 1, 2, and 14. So here we go. In those days, there was no king in Israel. And in those days, the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day, all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coast, men of valor, from Zorah, and from Eshtaola, to spy out the land, and to search it. And they said unto them, go search the land. Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there. Now, notice we see the word there. Okay? Now we're going to jump down to verse 14. So, then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod, and teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what ye have to do. So, right there you see that Dan was into idol worship. They were into idol worship. Okay? So, as you can see, he's still connected to the children of Israel right here through the key, through Shem, through God. Now, brings us here to this particular frame. Here we have Dan, and by definition, what it means. Okay? Now, in the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 16 and 17, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent, by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. So, Dan became a stumbling block to the children of Israel. Remember, the Son of Man, Jesus, is going to be coming on a horse, a white horse. Remember that? So Dan, what he did to the children of Israel was so sinful that God had to disconnect him from the nation. That's why he had no inheritance. Okay? But he will be coming back, and that's a different show. But I just want to show you where this word Indian came from. So, started through idol worship, and it came from the children of Israel, which from the dawn, since Genesis, see the dawn right here, dawn, we were known as judges, first and foremost. Pseudepigrapha Old Testament, Volume 2. Now, within this book, Pseudo-Hekatheis, we're going to go directly down here, the page 914, and I'm just going to touch on just this little part right here. Louis noted that the Jews were considered descendants of the Indian philosopher by contemporaries of Hekatheis. Okay, and I'm going to stop there because my main concern was pointing out that the Jews were considered descendants of the Indian philosopher. Okay, by contemporaries of Hekatheis. So the Jews, which we know are black, were or are the original Indians of this land. So, word is Jew, which also means Judah. Judah means praise, son of Jacob by Leah. This indicates that all 12 tribes were known as Jews. They maintained their tribal names and blessings, but they're all of one race. See, that would be black. So, in the book, Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish, they are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Now, etymology of the word black, we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 16. Jesus have sent mine angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. So, the word black means bright, shining, glittering. Now, it is an all-purpose word, this word black. It means everything. There's a negative side to it and a positive side. Now we're speaking of Jesus, so speaking in a positive. So, bright morning star. Bright also means brilliant, intelligence, wisdom. See, it's not a bad word. It's a good word when you use it in the proper context. Okay? So I know many people in our nation now have a problem with this word. Well, You have to fix that. Okay? So, anyway, it's been versus state with another lesson. I will see you in the next one. And just once again, let's reiterate where the word Indian comes from. Okay? That's a word formed by the children of Israel for their worship in Diana. That's where it comes from. Worship in Diana. Okay? Then, when the Asians came over, inclusion, remember that? Then that word was attached to them instead of us when we lost control of the land. So anyway, there's a state with another lesson. I'll see you in the next one.